Long time ago I covered the Battlecruiser from XPG, the version 1, and lately you've seen the Battlecruiser in white as well. Now today we have something a bit, let's say, upgraded. We have the Battlecruiser II case right here, and it's paired up with Levante X360 addressable RGB AIO, and we have something new as well. This is Core Reactor 2000 watts 80 plus gold fully modular with 12 VHPWR cable ATX 3.0 ready. Now this case brings some new cool stuff without a doubt, and we're going to break it down, but the performance on this one is outstanding, and we're going to mention that as well, apart from the 420 radiator mount on front. Yeah, you can do that here on this case as well, and that's outstanding. Unfortunately, XPG doesn't have a 420 AIO, but if you decide to go with a custom liquid cooling solution with a 420 on front, you can do that. So, let's dive in. Let's go with the dust filters. At the bottom of the power supply shroud we have one on the front, which is magnetically attached, and one on top. The same thing I would say as the Battlecruiser 1. Then it comes with quite interesting GPU holder right here on front, where you can see it. It's height adjustable as well, from 52 to 134 millimeters. Then we have a smart cable management design that allows you guys to reorganize the cables with a couple of Velcro ties and the possibility to arrange the cables as you wish, because it, apart from those Velcro ties and a lot of standoffs where you could use zip ties, you have loads of space at the back to reroute the cables as you wish. With the Battlecruiser 2 you have optional XPG PRIME BOX as an accessory for specific models to synchronize the lighting effects inside this case. And now let's jump into the design and how it is to build and clean this case. So Battlecruiser 2 is exoskeleton driven design, which combines, let's say, futuristic design. I would say I'm really digging the front panel, and it really does look quite different, yet it still has loads of space for the front fans to create that perfect airflow, even though it's tempered glass on front. But we have loads of openings, so that is really good. The front panel, since I'm already there, is removable by untying two thumb screws at the bottom and just pushing it upwards. After that you have a magnetic dust filter that you easily remove and get access to the fans, either to swap them, to place radiator, or just to clean the dust filter. This brings us to the point that it's quite toolless, because everything here is with thumb screws. We have top panel with thumb screws, both side tempered glass panels are with thumb screws, and the front is also with thumb screws. Now, since I mentioned the XPG PRIME box, and we're going to deep dive now into that, it's optional by a model. So you can either go with Battlecruiser 2 without the PRIME box, or you can go with it. And this is really cool because it has 4 ports for PWM fans and 4 addressable RGB ports. Now, what you can do is download their XPG Prime, and this gives you an option to regulate the speeds of the fans or the pump. You can adjust that however you wish. You have already presets, or you can create a custom curve just like doing it in BIOS, so this kind of does help you a lot. And the cool thing is that you can extend the USB 2.0 from it to another Prime box or any other device, so it's kind of, let's say, a splitter, I would say. That's really cool, and I didn't expect that one. Now, when we're talking about the ports, you do need to connect it to your SATA power from your power supply. You do need to connect USB 2.0 from the Prime box directly to your motherboard, and you have 2 additional cables that come with it. One is for addressable RGB sync to your motherboard if you decide to sync it to your motherboard software, and PWM to connect it to your motherboard again to synchronize the fans to your BIOS or however you want to control it. So this gives you loads of options to do whatever you wish, and you just need to download XPG Prime software to be able to adjust it. Now, you can log in as you can create your account, or you can log in as a guest and edit everything there. This is really good because it kind of gives you an option to modify the lights, maybe much easier than some motherboard softwares. Now, entering the software, we have a possibility to adjust canvas, which gives you an option on certain products to adjust individual LEDs on the product, and this gives you some sort of a modification to your lights, bringing the whole style of your setup to the lights in your PC build than you could do with the standard spectrum wave and all the other stuff, which kind of takes all the products that are addressable RGB connected to your Prime box, and you can manage that all in one go. And the third one is the fan control and the pump control, which gives you a possibility to adjust everything. Now let's get back to the Battlecruiser II. So it has really nice cooling. It comes with 4 120 addressable RGB fans, 3 on front and 1 at the rear. On top you can place up to 360 radiator, and on front you can go up to 420mm radiator. That's outstanding because it gives you also loads of options to manage your cooling as you wish. Now the difference between Battlecruiser 1 and Battlecruiser 2, the main difference I would say, except for the Prime box, is that they gave it a bit of a height. And what does this bring us? This brings us to the point where you can easily install the radiator and the fans. Of course, you can remove the top panel and do everything outside of the case, but we do have something else. Since it's risen a bit, we have loads of space right here to access all the cables, all the connections for 8-pin EPS, PWM, addressable RGB. Everything that you see on top, it's very clearly visible. And with their Levante X360, what happens is you don't even get close to the passive heatsinks of the VRMs of the motherboard or memory. So yeah, that's really good. And because of the space difference from Battlecruiser 1 to Battlecruiser 2, as already stated a couple of times, you can mount a 420 at the front. This gives you, as already stated, I mean, I'm repeating myself a bit, but I do have to get into all that just to give you more idea about it. 420 at the front, more space, possibility to arrange your cooling as you desire. When we're talking about the storage on the power supply shroud, you can mount either one 3.5-inch hard drive or 2.5-inch SSD, and at the back you can mount two 2.5-inch SSDs, since you also have a certain caddy that you can attach the Prime box, which is magnetically connected, so you don't need any screws. You just place the Prime box over there. I placed it where the SSDs are, so I wanted to have, it depends on your cable management. If you can push it on the full right side of the case, it's up to you to rearrange the cables, but I placed it here since I don't use 2.5-inch SSDs. Now, since I mentioned the anti-sag bracket that you get, the anti-sag stand or however you want to call it, and since it's adjustable by height, it's also magnetically connected. Now, regardless of this front part cover shroud that you could easily remove with untying a screw at the back and just popping it out, since it's plastic, it didn't connect with, well, magnet. But if you remove that, you have all this metal part, right, steel part right here, and this part connects magnetically to it and holds the GPU, which is quite outstanding for the new generation of graphic cards. They are, most of them are heavier, and if they weren't designed properly, like some, you do need an anti-sag bracket. This is just for visual aspect because this Gainward RTX 4070 Phoenix GS is actually quite alright when we're talking about sagging. So yeah, I just placed it here just to give you some more idea on how it works and how it looks. Now, going at the top panel design, we have I/O ports, of course. So we have USB 3.2 Type-C, 2 USB 3.2 Type-A, 3.5mm jack 4-pole for your headset and for your microphone, light buttons so you can adjust the lights if you don't go with the Prime box or anything similar to that, and 2 additional buttons, reset and power on or off button. The Battlecruiser II comes in 2 varieties of colors. We have black and white. The material is SPCC, tempered glass is 4mm thick. It supports basically all form factor motherboards: mini ATX, micro ATX, ATX, eATX, since we have one right here, CEB and EEB. The fans that are included are XPG Vento 120 ARGB, 3 on front and 1 at the rear. Maximum graphic card length is 395mm without the front radiator. CPU cooler height is 175mm and the PSU length is 225. Now, as you can see, while it's turned on, I mean, regardless of everything, it looks really cool and really nice. I really like the design of the case. I wouldn't mind if the power supply shroud was a bit less, I don't know, bumpier with all these parts and having a nice clean design, because the entire case is well designed when we're talking about the panels and the sides and everything else. but I would just redesign the power supply shroud a bit, not too much, a bit, making it nice flat and still leaving the space here on front for the radiator mounting, which is quite nice because it gives you space for a 360 or 420, and that's quite alright. Much better design when we're talking about the radiator clearance than the cases that actually have the power supply going up till the end, and then you have a cutout and then you have to squeeze in the radiator somehow. Let's not mention when you have to mount it simultaneously with the fans, and yeah, but this case has that covered. So let's check out the benchmarks. Now right here we have the ASRock Z790 Tai Chi Lite, which we will cover on Monday, and then we have Intel Core i5-13400F, which I don't think I need to mention anything about it. This is my benchmarking CPU, so regardless of that, let's go to the next part. The GPU is Gainward RTX 4070 Phoenix GS, as already stated, and the results are this. I did a 64 15-minute stress test. CPU went up to 49 degrees Celsius, clock speed 4100 megahertz, and the GPU went up to 62 Celsius degrees. It's in a Cinebench R23. Now, really surprised how the cooling here is nicely done, and the performance I get with 13400F, because when I did benchmarks with that processor in another case, and I think it was Micro ATX case, Jonesbow D31, it scored under 15,000. But let's get to the point. Cinebench R23, constant CPU thermals at 51 degrees Celsius, constant clock speed 4100 megahertz, and the maximum that I got in Cinebench scores 15,246, and then it went down a bit, stabling up, let's put it that way. So I would say the average in Cinebench score was 15,100 and something. Yeah, I think that's alright, but you can see from the graphs what I managed to got, and that's something completely different than Jonesbow D31. I'm not saying anything against D31, it's a complete different case with a complete different design and the airflow, but this one did the trick quite nicely, especially with the Levante X360. Now, of course, the 13400F won't create so much heat regarding the cores and everything else when we're talking about performance. But still, now we have some orientation when we talk about two different cases, two different types of cooling as well, and how it can perform much better in this type of case. So yeah, of course there's a fact where we have a different motherboard, which also helps with the performance, but that will be covered on Monday, definitely. So guys, big thumbs up to XPG for creating such a case. Quite nice, fits long graphic cards, fits huge radiators, and quite nice thermals regardless of the 13400F. I'll have to state that again because I know there will be some comments. And finally we have the Prime box that gives you a possibility to adjust literally everything inside when we're talking about addressable RGB lights. And that'll be all for today, guys. Thank you for watching today's video. Thanks for taking your time to go through it, and don't forget to check the links in the description for the Xpg Battlecruiser II. I'll place the Levante X360 as well as the Core Reactor 2000 watts, and of course additionally star of the show, XPG Prime box with XPG Prime software. You can combine all of that and create quite nice ecosystem, I would say. So that will be all for today. If you're new to the channel, and I know I say this each and every time at the end of the video, but sometimes I know you guys need some reminder to click that subscribe button. If that's not a problem for you, click the like button as well and hit the notification bell for future builds coming very soon. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.